Alrighty, let's see if this recording is going to work. Hopefully so. Camera looks okay. Voice looks okay. And screen looks okay. So here we go. I'm going to start a series, maybe for my own edification or whatnot, but just kind of showing my path as I play sanctioned chess events. Let me make sure this is working. This is how I'm going to be recording it. I just shaved, so I look a little different. All right. I don't know if I'm going to clip the beginning or just leave it as it was, unedited. But yes, so I am Robert Eckstut, old Bobo Fidos, I think is my channel. I'm not sure, but yeah, I've been a long-time chess player for. Technically, I learned when I was a kid, and I played a bit then, but I didn't take it too seriously. I never really played in any tournaments. I don't even think I was necessarily on the chess team or anything like that. I had a chess set as a young man, you could say. I'm still a young man, I hope. But I didn't really play very often. I then would live in Vegas every summer, and some of my housemates were very strong chess players. This is because of poker kind of goes hand in hand in many ways with chess. Nonetheless, I played a bit with them. Obviously, they were really, really good, and they were much better. Famously, my top achievement there was my friend Travis and I played together against Morgan Griffiths, who is like the Oregon State champ. I think he's a national master, but he played blindfolded, and we eked out a draw against him, so we were very happy about that. And anyway, I'd been wanting to play in a sanctioned chess tournament for a very long time. I'm very active and avid on chess.com. My ratings are, I play a lot of bullet, but they fluctuate. I think my peak in all, both bullet, blitz, and rapid is about 1750. But I think right now, currently, I'm probably around 1550 or 1600 in those three styles. Now, for the record, if you look at percentile for it or so, it still puts me anywhere between like 95 and 98 percentile. So I'm pretty confident and competent, but I don't think I'm that good, obviously, in like the grand scheme of things. Having said that, I really love chess. I really want to get better. I watch a few streams like Hikaru or whatnot, and finally, I convinced a different friend. Sorry that I'm licking my finger. There's some dust on my computer. Now that I'm shining this light, I'm trying to clean everything up a little bit better, but maybe that's not the best use of it, kind of polishing off my computer with my spit. Well, in any event, I convinced a friend to sign up for what is known as the Tuesday Swiss. It is a tournament that happens at the Boylston Chess Foundation. It's the chess club that's closest to me. I live in Cambridge. Boylston Street is in Boston. Honestly, I just take the T, public transportation in. It's pretty convenient. Maybe not quite 15 minutes away, maybe closer to 20, but nonetheless, this is great. It's a classical tournament with 90 minutes. You get a 5-second increment, which I didn't really notice. Time management is something that I'm sure I'll utilize, but I'm very used to bullet and blitz, that I feel like if shit hit the fan or so, I'd be able to move very, very quickly. Having said that, that did not occur in this game. So both my friend, who Ian, I might end up playing him later this month, so maybe there'll be a recap against him. But he's a little bit weaker of a player than me, but we both signed up, and we decided to sign up together for the U1515. The reason I signed up for that one is I knew that this would be sandbagging for me a little bit. I do project my rating to be a bit higher than that, but I have literally not played an over-the-board game in more than a decade. Again, the last time was probably in Vegas against the aforementioned friend named Morgan, which was probably like 12 years ago, or maybe even a little bit more. So I didn't know if I'd like literally like move the pieces well, if I'd be able to like figure out the coordinates. Thankfully, they were listed on the board, so I didn't have to think about that too much. But yeah, when your whole mindset with chess is used to online chess, things are a little different. I wanted to kind of ease my way in. Having said that, I've entered the section, the lowest of the three sections, with the mentality that I should beat everybody. I want to beat everybody. And if that occurs and I win my section, I will definitely move up to the U1900 for the next tournament that I play, which I think is probably very fitting for me. Again, it's really hard to translate your chess.com rating to a real over-the-board rating, but my guess is I won't be higher than 1900. I'll say that much. Having said that, I'll be astonished if I'm lower than 1500. So, there you go. Those are my talents. In the first round, in my section, I think there's 8 people. roughly 8 people per section. I think there's just shy of 30 people total in the chess tournament for the Tuesday, July. I drew Josep Puig Ruiz. Hopefully I'm saying that right. For the record, such a nice guy. We talked about the game a bit afterward. Kind of went to the side room. He's from Barcelona, so Spanish player. And he's been playing since COVID. So he told me he's been playing for about 5 or 6 years. And I believe he plays, about once a week. He is rated at the start of this tournament 1270. And honestly, I threw the ratings out the window. I had one goal, which is I didn't want to hang checkmate. I wanted to play decently. Thankfully, I didn't know if I was going to be white or black to start the tournament. For all the other games, I'll know what I am. For example, next week, I am playing the white pieces. Let me just double check this is all going up. Okay, it is. And I play the Queen's Gambit or sometimes the London setup, depending, of course, Queen's Pawn, whatever. I have between Bullet and Blitz, literally 10,000 games in my life, maybe more. And I would say 80% plus are with D5. D4, excuse me. Nonetheless, I'm looking at the response as far as what the computer recommends. Anyway, I wasn't going to deviate from that. I figured I would play the moves that I was accustomed to. Clearly, for the record, in preparation of the tournament, I know that this is kind of the low section, so people are not exactly to be like opening theorists at all. But my black responses are very shaky. I kind of play the French. And I play what's known as the Owens defense in Bullet, but I don't think it's a good opening. And honestly, I feel very weak in black. I didn't know if I was going to be white or black, so I actually spent about an hour before the tournament looking at Levy's videos, Rosman, Gotham chess, just to prepare myself if I drew black. And then as it turned out, I drew white, and all that time that I spent preparing was wasted. And I believe this is, when you see these recaps of different very strong chess players, and I generally just watch Hikaru, but it's kind of funny that they'll prepare an hour or 2 hours and then it doesn't even come to bear, and I know that feeling. Having said that, and by the way, next week I drew white again. Very rare to get back-to-back white, but I won't need to look at the black openings for 2 weeks or so. Nonetheless, this game I was very proud of one move in particular. I'll try to talk about the time usage and I'll just do my overall thoughts. Very, very nice guy. I actually needed to even be taught how to use the clock. I'm so used to online where everything is automated, I wasn't even hitting it right. In fact, for the first 5 moves, I forgot to hit my clock to the point that I probably cost myself about 5 minutes. I don't think it matters, but it's kind of funny. He was very polite, very kind. He kind of reminded me and whatnot, but it's the sort of thing where I just literally just didn't know. It's just one of these amateur or sort of new to live feelings. If the time control was much shorter, that could have cost me. Nonetheless, I open with d4. He, in response, plays e6. You see this all the time. Oops. Their idea, of course, is to then play d5, kind of contest the center, blah, blah, blah. He ended up playing the Dutch, which for the record, even online, you don't see the Dutch that often. I'm not exactly sure. My response, I'm not like an opening theorist, even though I played this open so many times. I kind of know the book moves, but I'm not going to go into in-depth variations. I'm going to just kind of get to the key moments as far as my discussion. For the record, again, the aforementioned clock, the opening 6 or 7 moves we played pretty quickly, but I was down 5 minutes pretty quickly just because I forgot to kind of click and clack my thing. Nonetheless, I respond c4, very typical setup when you basically start with d4 opening. Obviously, my idea is to get the knight behind and play in the middle of the board here. Then, to my surprise, he does play the Dutch. Obviously, I have enough games. I've seen the Dutch before. I don't really know what the best move is. According to the computer, you just develop f3, knight to f3 rather. I was going to basically play my same moves, kind of getting like a London-esque setup, where basically you move the bishop out and you connect the pawns and you have the strong center. So I didn't know if there was some way I should take advantage, some way to pounce on it. I also figured, given he's 1270, I wanted to stick to my opening mantra: play solidly, play smart, don't hang pieces. And I figured if I did that, I would win this game. Nonetheless, so I played knight c3. It's still a book move. This is totally fine. Apparently, it's the Rubinstein variation. I don't really know obviously I know the touches, things like that. But when you get into the advanced lines, I rely on chess.com to tell me what the hell I'm even playing. Nonetheless, again, he was like banging these out. He played his first 5 moves in about a minute total. Maybe not even, so just to give you an idea of his cadence. And yeah, so he hits me with this. Right away, apparently the computer says that the best continuation is either A3 or G3. Here I'm guessing you want to Finchetto your bishop for that diagonal. I just wanted to play solidly. I thought I would develop my minor pieces. I knew I wanted this bishop on this diagonal. The reason why, and I was telling him this after the game, is in Bullet especially, a very common move is very early knight to b5, and you can really focus on the square. And so I needed to set my bishop up on that diagonal in order to accomplish that. So it's definitely a very typical trick or technique in not even low ready games, but low time games for applying a lot of pressure, attacking the fact that they haven't castled, and obviously trying to play this knight fork. Excuse me. All right. Nonetheless, so I play it. Apparently, this is like not the best move. We're now out of book. This is not like opening theory. I didn't know that. Had I known that, or had I known what the best move, again, E3, I didn't want to box the bishop in. I didn't think that was good. Apparently, that is the best move. Or just G3 to Finchetto. I think all that is fine. I'm not going to waste too much time in open theory, because again, especially at the lower levels, I don't think this will cost me much, and I don't think it will matter much. I just, again, don't want to fall into traps. I don't want to fuck up too badly, and I want to just basically get to a middle game or so where I can play chess, because I think that'll go well for me. All right, nonetheless, he plays the best move. This you see in online all the time. They pin the knight on c3. It's annoying. I looked at this a bunch after, where if they basically attack it and then you end up trading, I have that set up online all the time. It's fine. You have kind of a big center, and they do trade the bishop off for the knight. I figured I would allow it. The move that I was a little bit worried about is if I respond, this is what I did. I ended up playing e3. The whole time I was worried about this move, where they move the knight, and if I box my bishop in, I can't drop it back, and they have a lot of pressure on the knight. Then I basically have to do something like queen to c2, and then he can trade, I can take, and I still have the 3-pawn setup, and then maybe he trades off his knight. However, I was just looking to develop. I didn't think it was a big deal, but according to the computer, this is my first inaccuracy. 0.3 centipawns or so. Not a big deal. Apparently, best move is bishop d2, which looks so weird. Apparently, it's literally just dropping the bishop back. I don't think that I would play this, because I feel like it's wasting tempo. So I'm just going to assume that my move there is correct, even though he's supposed to trade this off. So I didn't even consider that. Nonetheless, and then you kind of like the castle, the game goes on, blah, 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 blah. But not a problem. All right. So I do play e3, and the whole time I was looking at this move. If he plays that, and this is the first think where I probably spent about 10 minutes, maybe 7 minutes, where I kind of like hemmed and hawed. And at the table, I was kind of emotive, and I was kind of like talking through, again, not saying a word. It was very quiet in the chess hall. It was nice. It was like a really wonderful air-conditioned room. It was boiling outside, because this tournament's July tournament, so this is July 1st. Nonetheless, I, double-checking that, I played this because I didn't want to see the knight here, but my thinking was if he plays this move, which apparently isn't an accuracy, that I would just play c2, I'd get the setup, and if he ever trades, I thought that this would be good for me. I have no idea why I thought that, but I've had this set up online, and it always feels fine to play, and he'd be basically moving his minor pieces a lot in the opening, which I know is not what you want to do, only to trade them off. So I thought that this would be fine for me. So that's why I hemmed and hawed, not wanting to see this. Apparently, for the computer, the reason why this is not so good is they can just take, and what's wrong with this position? Let's see, then d6. Yeah, I don't see what the problem is here. I thought that this was very playable for me. Yeah, then I was just basically play like d3, which is the setup I wanted, basically getting my bishops out on the diagonals. He kind of have a backwards pawn, which is on e6 that I'd be able to attack, and all is good. All right. Nonetheless, that is not what happened. Instead, my man, I just developed. Oops. Let's go back here. Instead, what happens basically is he pins my knight. I then get the setup that I thought I wanted. Again, London-esque setup, where then I could then get my minor pieces out and then castle, just play solidly. Again, accordingly to the computer, this mistake is he can just trade. And then boom, he plays b6, which is fine. The computer doesn't like it. Again, we're now kind of out of opening theory. It's not really fair to say this is the mid game quite yet, but he does need to get his pieces out. It made sense that he wants to basically attack along the diagonal. I don't see an issue with this. However, right away, I was thinking to myself, and this is where the gears start turning, that I want to basically I want to break the pin so that I can free up to attack, because I have the setup that I want. He's not really doing anything in response to that. Playing something like knight a6, I think is, to defend it, kind of puts the knight on the rim where it's dim, yada, yada, yada. I was basically just whipping out all the chessisms that I'm familiar with and applying them to my classical game. Nonetheless, this is where I spent, about 7 minutes. The whole time I was a little bit worried about this move. And finally I decide I want to just get my bishop out. And the reason why, and this is where I involved some thought, so again, I was probably down a full 10 minutes at this point, maybe 12, is that I assumed he would fianchetto, which is what he did, and that in response, I would have two very clear moves, because he's attacking this. I can either block with my bishop, and then I'm defending with both my queen and the knight, or I can just develop my knight and then open the door for castling. According to the computer, I end up playing the knight here, which is not the best move. Apparently, it's the second best move. They keep dodging back and forth. Like, the computer doesn't even know what it wants. Alright, so I did play the best move. That's good. But, kind of tied evenly for these two. And the computer says that the position's equal. I have a lot of experience with this kind of setup. I felt very comfortable. I was down a bit of time. And my idea here, though, if you do play this, basically, apparently he has to take. And I figured then getting this set up, this is good for me, because I thought that his bishop was better than my bishop. When you trade minor pieces of equal value and his was doing more, that's a win. However, that's not how the game went, which is fine. I blocked with the knight. It says it's a good move, fine, and then ball's back in his court. He then plays d6, and this is where I thought he made a mistake. So if you look at my setup, we're 7 moves in. He spent about 1 minute on his first 5 moves, then he spent maybe 2 or 3 on his next 2. So out of the hour and a half, he's used 4 or 5 minutes total. I had spent a couple minutes, like 5 at first, because I wasn't click-clacking it correctly, and then 10 minutes on the think before. I was already down to an hour 15, hour 10, which is not ideal, but I thought that didn't matter. I just didn't want to fuck up, and I just wanted to kind of be cognizant of the time usage. So, anyway, basically I play f3 here. Not sure, and he does this. You can see, I think in preparation for the video, because I was looking at this, because I inputted it, and then I was making some arrows of different ideas that I had. This seems like a weakness for me. Obviously, I'm always bearing down on these diagonals. This is a backwards pawn. The reason why is the bishop's all the way over here. He can't really defend it. If he ever castles, he kind of opens the door, whereas king is kind of pinned to the pawn. So I really wanted to find a way to attack that way. However, I also thought I want to be solid. Let's get all my pieces into the game. Let's castle, and then let's make some moves. Again, in bullet, I may have done something kind of crazy or aggressive, but I was thinking, all right, he's still kind of boxed in where he has not moved the knight, and his rook is kind of stuck if he can't move the knight. So I thought that I had a good position here, which the computer says I do. I'm up 0.7, which is great. However, I missed it, where if I jumped on the best move here, which is a4 to check, then I'd have a big advantage. And I see there's a whole computer line here where if he has to block, and then he's pinned, and then I can basically move my pawn to pressure, making an attack, and I can win, etc., etc. And so I didn't see all that. After the game, Joseph did say that he was a little bit worried about that, but that's why you don't move this pawn. That's why this is such a bad move. Again, opening the door to these checks. And I did see those. For the record, I did spend more time on this. I was literally doing this hand vacillating motion, do I go all in? Do I be aggressive? Because I figured if I attack, then obviously this is unguarded. He has to block there. It's pinned. I have some mid pressure. And so I did see this. Literally, I was looking at the board and I was thinking that, but I did think to myself, I'm not sure I have anything for sure. Let's just break the pin. Let's just play solidly. And the opportunity, I don't think that I would really miss anything. However, against a really strong player, I would have missed something, and that would be, computer gives that the first missing a win. Again, the best move, 0.7, now the worst, not the worst move, the fine move is minus 0.2. That's costing me a pawn. I fucked up. I was trying to play to my mantra, which it is what it is, but this was a bad move. Happens. In response, he castles, and again, I didn't think this was good. Computer agrees. Already, he's basically, he throws away his advantage. He has one move here, and he has to trade, and he fails to do so. The whole time, I know that he was thinking about taking it. I was thinking, is it okay if he takes it? And I went back to the maxim of, in the long game, isn't my bishop more valuable than, don't you want to keep bishops on the board? He was probably thinking the same thing. However, when he played this move, preventing the bishop from retreating to either of these squares, I started to see that I could trap his bishop, which is where the finest move of the game is about to occur. And I'm really proud of myself. I'm patting myself on the back, but hey, this is my first live in-person game. Computer gives me a brilliant, so we're about to find out what that is. So, alright, so he doesn't take, he castles instead. He's probably thinking he wants to play safe. He needs to get his knight in the game, and I want to finally break this pin. So now that I've castled, I do. Now the computer, and again, I looked at this, sees this line of a4, which is a crazy line, because the bishop is still completely stuck. He's got to do some kind of wild maneuvering where he loses a pawn. But I saw something different. Again, I missed it, but I'm still up I'm still up according to the computer 1.2. That's great. Over the board, I saw this because I spent before I played this. Again, I think I was saying I had an hour and 10 or hour 15. I spent a little bit. I brought my clock down. I remember to exactly an hour before I played the move because I was looking at it. And the reason why I was looking at it is I thought, all right, if I play this move, he might play the pawn push to kind of what he would think to push me back. But what if I have this move with taking on c7? And I was thinking to myself, the reason why is I thought, all right, he'd have to take with the queen, and then I have his pawn pinned, I have pressure, and I believe his bishop is trapped. I didn't see a way out. So I thought that basically on most variations, I'm winning a pawn, and his queen is kind of under a lot of pressure, a lot of skewering it, I suppose, pins, really. And his king is still open, and I'd be able to still develop. And I also thought that this diagonal would be really strong if I was to push that pawn. So I saw all that. I thought for a long, long time, and I didn't want to spend 25 minutes. I thought once I spent the 10 or 15 minutes on this, I was pretty content because I went through all the motions of if I move, if he doesn't attack. I had some kind of clever either sacks. I knew that I had have the potential to trap his bishop, so maybe win a piece for a pawn. Etc., etc., etc. So I thought that his hand was kind of forced, and I calculated through. So this was the one time in the game where I really went through and I really calculated. So I'm proud of myself, and we'll see. The computer still says it's a miss because this move is more accurate. It's a little bit better. Basically, you're just winning off the board because you can still trap his bishop, but we say c'est la vie. Nonetheless, he does play what is apparently the best move, and it's the move that I thought that he would play. And you can see on the screen the brilliant or whatnot. But, if you want to spend a moment to kind of calculate, obviously you could retreat. You can just simply move the knight back to, what does it say? You can move the knight back. You can, try to just trap the bishop right away because he has no retreat square. If he moves here, you then move here. If he moves here, we just take. But I thought that I'd be winning a pawn in this setup. Or he'd desperado, and I'd basically have all in pieces out. He'd be stuck. All those variations, it looked like I was doing really well. I also thought if I take, he can't not accept the piece because he's still going to be losing the bishop, and then obviously if he doesn't somehow take it, then I'll obviously just take his rook, and I'll be up way too much material in a classical game where my king is super safe. So, nonetheless, I take. Computer gives me the 2 thumbs up. I'm so happy. You have no idea how happy I am because this was the one time I really calculated. I played it. And to my surprise, and again, Joseph was a super nice guy. I really like this guy. Hopefully I see him in the chess club more often or whatnot. But he just shrugged, and he spent not even a minute, and he immediately recaptured, which he has to. But after the game, he said that he wasn't thinking about this move, which makes sense. It was a good move. But already from here, I thought that my position was winning. I just thought that I had a great response. According to the computer, I played the best moves to follow, which I'm thrilled about. Obviously, I want to win back the material. So the way to do that is play a3. And I thought his best move would be the desperado. And my plan was to bring the rook out. And then I have all my pieces pretty much where I want them. I could develop perfect harmony where I could swing it to c3. I could do in the Hikaru lines the triple stack. Over like that. And I'd be able to have these connect pass pawns with a lot of pressure here, and I just thought that was really winning. It's kind of what I saw. I thought that if you drop back, obviously then I'd pressure, and it would be the same line, but I wouldn't have the weak pawn on b2 or whatnot. He kind of responded in the worst fashion. He lashed out where he doesn't get a pawn back from the Desperado. So that's what happened in the game. Nonetheless, I push. His piece is trapped. Again, I thought he should Desperado, and that's what I told him in our recap after the game. According to the computer, if he plays c6 here, just developing, giving up the bishop so that I have the the 3 pawns as a chain, which he said that he was looking at, but he thought that this would be really bad for him. And I mean, it is really bad. He's down effectively a pawn. At this level, that's probably not like winning or losing. Obviously, at like the grandmaster level, that would be. But perhaps he should have done that. Just kind of willingly conceded. I still don't really understand why it's better to immediately develop the c6 rather than Desperadoing and doing the same thing. Like, this would be my line. Take here, and then, yeah, that's what I would have played. I would have played rook takes to kind of immediately bring it out, and then he still could basically develop the piece. But, yeah, I'd have the rook out with the idea of rook lifting. That's the terminology. But whatever, it is what it is. So he took back. At this point, I played my follow-up moves because I had calculated them pretty quickly. And he responds by going to c5. I thought this was a mistake. I thought the Desperado was better. I thought playing the knight was better. And even playing the bishop back here, threatening it there, and then Desperadoing over here would also be better because then it would deny me the chance to lift the rook with tempo. But he didn't do that. According to the computer, again, the game is over at this point. I feel like my own skills, if I'm up like +3 against a really strong player, I should still probably be able to convert. Against Joseph, I thought that the same. Because even though I used a lot of time, you're given an hour and a half, I was down to like 57 minutes. I thought that was plenty of time. So, nonetheless, I'll still go over the game, but that was kind of what it boiled down to. I had the sack. I don't think he responded correctly. And, well, not even a sack, just temporary. There was like a fly or something buzzing on through. It's very hot here. The air conditioner is on. Nonetheless, I'm going to see how long the recap is. It's been 26 minutes. Wow, it's been pretty long. All right, whatever. He plays back. I take. I thought, obviously, what the hell am I going to do? And he blunders, unfortunately. I think, according to the computer, he should just actually develop the queen right away so he has at least this long-term threat of maybe a checkmate, which was kind of going on throughout the game. He didn't do that. I thought he could also take here. Obviously, he can't take with his pawn because then, whoopsies, he drops the queen. But this is kind of the thing where I always have this pressure. That's what I was kind of gunning for. He unfortunately blunders here again, and the reason why is, and at this point I'm playing my moves pretty quickly. I did double check just to make sure I wasn't like hanging anything, but I saw I could just take the pawn, and with his queen essentially checked there, he would never be able to recapture my bishop, and from the get-go I would just be up a lot of material. He does play the best move there. He has this long-term threat, which, by the way, was the only threat really throughout the game that I had to worry about, and I did worry about it. I then take the pawn. It's not guarded. I have this protector as well. And then he pushes here. He's trying to basically remove my knight, because the only way I lose this game is if I ever move this knight, whoopsie, I hang checkmate. So I didn't want to do that. So the whole time I was thinking, this was the other time I spent time thinking. I went from 57 minutes to like 47. For the record, I ended the game with about 45 minutes of time. So after this move, I basically played the rest of the moves here pretty much instant. Maybe not instant. Maybe I finished with like 42 minutes on the clock. Anyway, maybe a couple minutes or so. And the reason why is I thought if he ever is able to push here, I always have the move with the knight to the rim. He doesn't have a dark square bishop, and I'm always defending. The other thing is my long-term plan here is I thought with up a bunch of pawns, I'm in really good shape. I always have this move if I can dislodge the knight by taking to like force the queens off. I do give the pawn back on d5. But the other plan is thinking, where do I want my rooks? The computer says this was slightly inaccurate, but I thought I wanted my f rook on the d file to basically push this down the board, and I thought I wanted to line up my a rook on the queen on the c file. According to the computer, it's a little more accurate to put this rook over there. Honestly, I don't understand why. I'm not going to pretend to. I'm not going to learn anything from that. But this made the most sense, basically having this two columns of domination. Nonetheless, I wasn't quite sure what the best move was here. Everything seemed pretty good. I thought I could take. I didn't think I wanted to take, because if I took here, I did think that he could take this, and I'm immediately giving back the pawn. Obviously, I could then force it like that, and then maybe he can win back 2 and I'm only up 1 pawn, but apparently, according to the computer, that's not really the case. But I just didn't think, because I would always be able to take that pawn, blah, blah, blah. His king is wide open. I just hit the light. It's very, very hot. My finger hurts now. So I didn't think this was good to, like, let him get his rook, because if he can ever free up his other rook, like, basically blockade this and like, double stack his rooks, maybe he'd be able to pressure. From what I've heard of, like, really good players is when you have, like, a winning position or a really good position, you basically just look to eliminate their counterplay. So I thought by letting his rook double, that would be some counterplay. I knew he always had this move to basically try to pressure to dislodge. So in my head, I wanted the rooks here, I wanted my queen out, and I wanted to drop my bishop so that I would free my knight to basically take this, or move there, or move here. Having said that, I did not figure out the best move in this position. It is what it is. Let's see what happens. Yes, and so in this situation, once he plays g5, I did think, again, for a while, I dropped down to like 47 minutes or so, and I thought I had this move to defend the g2 square. I knew I needed to move my queen. I just wasn't sure where. I thought that I wanted to be able to defend this pawn, especially if I like trade this, then I wanted to keep the knight here. I wanted the option to basically double stack on this on the d file. So I didn't want to like move it here, even though I have some of these like, you know, checks or so, which would have been reasonable. I think if I do this and he like finds a way to take somehow, I mean, he can't take now, but I'd always have this move to push. But I thought I wanted to keep it on the d file, to be honest. I just wasn't sure where was best. According to the computer, though, c2 is best move. I don't understand why. This would have been fine too, just kind of jumping the gun. But whatever, I played d4. Computer says it's a good enough move. I'm obviously in a really dominant position. My opponent at this point responds with the move that I calculated. I figured he'd finally get his knight in the game. He'd blockade the pawn, and he would defend the knight. It made a lot of sense to me. I just followed through it again. At this point, I'm playing kind of quickly, because I had always looked at trading. I just never wanted, basically, him to get the rook in the game to be able to develop some kind of pressure in the middle of the board. I wanted to kill off threats, so I thought that I'd force him to trade. And if he trades here, he's removing the defender from the pawn. It's basically letting me just push it. Obviously, I would not be able to take with the knight, because that would, again, hang checkmate, which is what I'm trying to avoid. But I would just be able to take the queen, and all is good. All is good. If he ever attacks with the knight, I always have this move, with the rook, to basically check his king and trade off the queens. Nonetheless, so I stick to the plan. I line up the double stack. I also clear the space where I can drop the bishop. I was looking at this move, and again, if it was ideal to kind of draw it back. But he surprised me. He plays this move, which is a really good move too. I didn't really see this. When he played this, I thought to myself, oh shit, did I fuck up? Is my bishop getting trapped now? Because he's got 2 attackers, and I only have 1 defender, this guy. Because again, if I was to move this, it would hang checkmate. In the game, I then stuck to my original plan of dropping back, because it frees up this knight to now be a defender on the bishop. But nonetheless, yeah, it was kind of funny, where I thought, oh shit, did I misplay? I did see a funny line, which is what happens. Oops, not immediately. But I also thought I had this move, which I do, which would have been apparently the best move in the position. Obviously, I'm threatening checkmate, and I thought that he had to respond either by moving his rook to defend there, or he has to just simply drop the knight back, and then we could just trade it off. For the record, this happens, just not right away, but I did look at this, and I did think it was kind of a funny line. I didn't think he was going to miss checkmate, but nonetheless, this basically happens. So he pushes his rook over, puts more pressure, and now it's go time. I have only 1 move in the position, I thought. Apparently I have a couple moves in the position. G7 as well would have worked, funny enough. That makes sense. You kind of go there, and you can like drop back. All right, well, whatever. When I played this on the board, and this is kind of like the conversation piece, if you will, I like looked at him, he like laughed, and I laughed, because it's such a ridiculous move. Literally just tucking the bishop there. And after the game, he was a really nice guy. He said, that really made me laugh. He said that was such a like audacious move. He's like, it was probably the best move, and it turns out it was the best move. But he's like, yeah, it's the kind of move that kind of makes me smile. I was like, that was a fun move to play, and I agree, it was a fun move to play. I told him afterwards, especially it's funny because I'm kind of mirroring the checkmate threat, the one threat that he's had the whole game. on my g2 square, and I'm kind of, threatening the same. So it's kind of like a touche, if you will. Nonetheless, he drops. Now my bishop is no longer guarded. I have to trade it off. I'm fine with that. I'm up so much material. Trading off minor pieces is a really big win. This all seems very standard. He took with the rook. That's fine. I then end up playing the rook over. Apparently, it's a good move. What would be other good moves here? They liked it. It was the best move, apparently. AC1. Okay, I could have played B4. Where's that? Yeah, I was thinking the whole time. I did want to kind of get the... I just thought it was too slow. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have all the time in the world. But, yeah, maybe I could have put the brakes on. But as you can tell, I think both my opponent, who in the mid-game, my girlfriend had arrived. She came a little early. There you go. But all the time. But I told her that, because he had dropped below the hour mark, and I was at the 45. We had spent a total of about an hour and change on this game so far. You're given an hour and a half each, so you can spend up to 3. And I told her to basically, the game started at like 7:15, that maybe she should get there around 9. So she got there around like 8:30 or so. So I went out to the playing hall. I chatted with her for a moment. Yeah, so at this point, I thought that I needed to just put the game away. I thought that I was totally winning, but he found a few moves to kind of keep the game going, basically. So he takes here. I played the best move. I'm defending this. I think if I ever can push, kind of make the connected pass pawns, I thought it's over. I'm free to finally move the knight, again, because the bishop is defending. I thought if he ever plays this, I can still retreat the knight there. Everything is good, and to my surprise, my horror, he plays this move. Now, for the record, I must have used a little bit more time on my clock, because I remember that this was the other time where I really thought a bit. And when I say really thought, I wasn't deep in the tank for 15 minutes, but I probably spent 5 minutes on this move, because he played this, and this is the kind of thing where I suddenly realized, holy shit, this is what people talk about when they don't consider moves. In my mind, I had won the game, and this is dangerous, because I hadn't won the game. He's still playing, he's still fighting. Now, we can see from the computer that this is over, but over the board, it didn't feel like it was totally over. I knew I was up a million pawns, but I still had to convert. He still has this checkmate threat, and when he plays this move, he always is trying to basically play the rook to the g-file, thereby pinning the pawn, and I no longer have a defense where he could then win my piece. So it wasn't, it just wasn't so simple. He played this, and I was like, I did the Homer Simpson dough. I was like, what is wrong with me? And I thought, all right, this is where I need to still just convert the freaking game. Obviously, I don't want to take the piece and take it back in the game. So I thought, all right, am I supposed to just give back a pawn and just trade it off and simplify? And thankfully, I'm very happy. The computer says I made the right decision, but I was thinking of. I did spend some minutes thinking, what if I didn't? And every variation where where I basically move the queen away, whether to here or drop back over here, and he plays this move, I didn't like my position anymore. I just thought that I was in a lot of trouble. According to the computer, this move is fine. I don't understand why. Okay, then the computer just takes the so if I was to play this, and then he plays this move, why is this okay for me? It says d5. What? Wow, that's a move that is very clever. You basically play blocking the checkmate threat so that it's no longer pinned. Huh. Well, this is what I mean. I didn't get deep in the tank enough to think about these kind of moves, also pushing that way. But those are the best defenses. And then somehow, if you play here, because if he takes, you're then threatening to win the rook as well. All right. Well, this is the kind of thing. I didn't think about this. All I knew is, shit, let's trade off. I'm in a winning position with a million pawns. Let's just go for this line. So I simplified. And the thing is, he can't avoid trading. That's the other thing, is if he moves his queen away, I can just either, I can basically, actually, what if he was to play it? What if, oh right, because he's in check. Blah. He loses the game if he somehow is able to move the queen. Anyway, I'm in check, so I can either force the trade myself, or he can take, if he moves away, I just trade. And I thought it all was well. So he takes, I take, obviously I don't take with the rook, because then he can take back with the bishop. and I could just be down in exchange. And at this point, I'm like threatening this. Yeah, and he takes the pawn over here. I still could have taken this move. The computer says d3 is best. Probably makes sense. You're threatening the rook, and you can basically win a pawn that way. Makes sense. Like the rook would move up here, and then what? I just take it with the knight. Anyway, yeah, this is kind of clean up. I went for an excellent move, just taking another pawn. And my thinking was, which is what happens if he ever just re-attacks it, which he does. I have a nice, neat little maneuver. Apparently, according to the computer, it's best to just play f4. I didn't think I needed a weakness. Like, I thought I could just reroute where I play over here, and then utilize what is known as a bastion with a knight, where then I'm always defending the center pawn. I have these jumps, and I'm going to just utilize, again, the threat of the 7th ring. So I play back. At this point, I am moving kind of fast. I felt a little pressure to kind of like wrap things up. He had now spent, because his clock did drop a bit. Again, I think we were probably around 40 minutes. We were the first game that finished, for the record. But I drop here. He does take, and as soon as he takes, I thought he was kind of screwed, because now I'm attacking this. I have, again, 2 attackers. He only has 1 defender. If he moves this back, I just take a free rook. He plays the only move that I think he thought of that could save the game. However, what I've been holding off is this diagonal, this pin. So then I just say, all right. Oh, wait, first. Oh, I didn't want him to sack. Yeah, I thought it was more accurate to basically kick his rook back. Computer likes my plan, so I'm happy with myself. He moves here, I move there. He can't obviously take this because I've got 2 defenders. So he has to drop back there. If he moves here, I just take it for free. This is blocked in by the knight. So then I just trade, he trades, and then the game ends where I move here. He has no way of defending this again. I'm going to win a minor piece. I'm going to be up 1,000,000 pawns. Maybe not 1,000,000. I mean, maybe he can take one back by taking it there. But, and a whole piece. So, my opponent, nice guy, nodded, he shook my hand. We scooted to the back, we kind of went over the game for a little bit, and then I got the hell out of there as it was pouring rain. So, I couldn't have been happier with my experience with my first over-the-board game. This is a rated event, obviously. I am aiming, shooting, aspiring to go 5-0 in the low-rated section. If I do that, I definitely will scoot up to the next division. Even if I don't, if my provisional rating is high enough, maybe I won't be able to play in the lower division again anyway. That's fine. It would be nice if I won prize money, because then it would maybe pay for the fee. I spent, $35 to enter the tournament. And if I win, I think first place is 40 or 60. Then maybe I'll even make back some money, which would be crazy. Who would have known making money from chess as well? In any event, this has been Rob Eckstut, or Baba Fidos, discussing and talking about my first round. They already have the rankings up. The person I play next week with the white pieces again, I drew white again, is the guy that beat my friend Ian. He beat my friend Ian. I'm blanking on his name, but I'll have a recap for that game. I'm really hoping I play well. I'm really hoping I win. But the truth is, it was fun. Even if I didn't win, I thought the community was actually pretty nice there. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this video. Longer than I anticipated, but sometimes I just started gabbing. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy.